Hello and welcome CHE viewers. Welcome to this episode of Counseling for Higher Education. Today we are going to discuss about how to write research proposals. But one thing you should keep in mind that there is no any golden rule to write a successful research proposal. In the past few weeks, I obtained some inquiries regarding writing research proposals and reviewing some of the research proposals. So this session is mainly focused upon writing a research proposal and what points you should consider while thinking or writing a research proposal when you are going to submit to a university for a PhD, for a doctoral level, or for research grants. So when you apply for a PhD position or any research grants, generally the supervisors, the potential supervisors and the university or the funder, the research grant funder, they ask you to submit a research proposal. And also if there is already funded research project, then at some point of time you need to write down a research proposal and then you can go through the university application procedure or requirement. So in either way, this research proposal is very important document, and you should also should not write this document in a hurry, because you are going to take time and you are going to put your ideas on paper. So as I said earlier, that there is no golden rule to write a successful research proposal. Every research proposal has its unique way, but there are few points that you should consider, you should think, and you should put it in a particular sequence so that your research proposal can have a better look. So the research proposal is like the candidates. It shows that the candidates have done some kind of initial or preliminary research or have some kind of preliminary ideas regarding the topic of research and the area of interest. But it is not fixed. Once you start researching the topic, as you proceed further in your doctoral level or in your research, the idea and the topic and the research proposal gets modified, because there are many developments takes place while you are doing your research, and since you are going to spend 3 or 4 years of your research, then it goes on modifying. So it's not like it's a fixed thing. You need to modify because you need to adapt your research proposal based on the recent developments that is going to take place in the due course of your research. So when you're going to submit the research proposal, your potential supervisors, the university and the academic community, they are going to look for 3 main things. Number 1, that have you identified a real scientific problem, and have you already identified, number 2, is have you already identified scientifically methodology to approach and solve that problem, and then what is the time frame. So these are the 3 things that the university or your reviewer is going to look upon your research proposal. So I would like to say that these are, whatever I'm going to discuss right now is just my recommendations, are my suggestions, and you need to think upon your own area of research, and then you have to consider those points as well. So talking about the length of your research proposal, in general I would recommend, or I would suggest, that a research proposal, a decent research proposal, should be in between 5 to 20 pages, and it should have a proper layout, should have a consistent fonts and the font sizes and the margins. Then it should have a table of contents and page numbers as well, because these things will give a very good impression at the very beginning when your reviewer is going to review your research proposal. If there is a table of content, then he will just go a specific section where he wants to focus. And also the page numbers, then he can identify, okay, how many page numbers are there, so how much time he needs to spend. So the very first thing in your research proposal is regarding the title page. The title page should first give the name, your previous or your designation right now, your previous employer information, then your date of birth, your country of origin, your citizenship, and some kind of email address, your present address, your work address. So these are the initial information, or it's personal information that you should give on the title page, and then the title of your research proposal. Remember also that this title of your research proposal is not a very definite or a fixed title that will be maintained for the next 3 or 4 years. As I said, it will be modified, or it can be modified later on as soon as you progress in your research. So no need to worry, but yes, it's very important that you choose your title and your words very accurately. It should neither be very long, not should be very short, but a good combination of words. You can also state the area of research in your research proposal. Either it belongs to manufacturing engineering, or it belongs to international relations, or it belongs to social sciences, or it belongs to biotechnology. Yeah, you can state the area of research. Then there comes the point number 2, is the general background or overview of your area of research and state of the art, which is also called as literature review. Literature review is very important part of your research proposal, because through this section you are going to highlight the state of the art, what other scientists and researchers in your field are doing right now or have done earlier. So you can cite their work, their publications, and you can say that these work have already been done, and you are going to focus on this problem that has not been touched, or that has been touched but very few researchers have touched it, have focused on it. So you are going to implement, or you are going to work on that problem. So this introduction is going to open the motivation of your research and the rationale of your research. That's very important, because reviewers will try to look upon the rationale of your research. Then there comes the research questions and your objective. The research question, as you finished your introduction and state of the art, then you need to quickly point out the research question. What is the question that you are going to solve? What is the objective that you are going to achieve? And what are the tasks that you are going to do in your research proposal? And this objective, tasks, and the research question should be very relevant, and it gives the value proposition of your research. For example, this problem that you're going to tackle, does it have how much impact does it have, or how relevant is this research objective? So this is the third point that you should consider, is about your research question and your objective that you want to achieve, because your potential supervisors or your university is going to look upon this question, and they will evaluate the impact of this research question. Is it practical, or is it just kind of empirical, or is it theoretical? Then there comes the methodology. Methodology section of your research proposal is the most important and the most space occupying part of your research proposal, because you're going to explain in this methodology, you're going to explain the detailed information about how you're going to conduct your research, how you're going to implement the solution of the problem, what platform you are going to work, what kind of simulation you will do, how many potential clients you will target, or what are the methodologies, scientific methodologies, statistical methodologies, or some kind of algorithm or flowchart that you are going to implement. Either this is in a software platform or on a hardware platform or on some kind of other social market platform. So this methodology is the important part, and you have to explain it very carefully. You have to explain, do not run away from this methodology section. This methodology section is intended to answer your research questions. So whatever question that you enlisted just above this section, you are going to answer those questions, and you are going to explain the technique that you will employ, the methodologies that you will implement, the statistical analysis that you will do. And similarly, because it is very important that the reviewers or your potential supervisors, they will, or they can directly come to your methodology part from your research question. It is possible that they will not go through the state of the art because they already know the state of the art. So they will directly come to methodology, and if you're going to explain the methodologies very well, then I think you are going to give a chance to your candidature. So remember that this methodology is very important. Then lastly, there comes furthermore there comes the timetable, that is the timeline. As I mentioned, that the timeline is very important in your research, because you cannot do the research for like 10 or 15 years in the same subject. So you have to identify the timeline. The timeline in general for PhD, it comes from 3 to 4 years, but also it depends upon the subject. If you are have a scientific background, then this number of years may increase. It can go up to 5 years or 6 years as well. But on an average, the timeline is 3 to 4 years, and then you have to include in your research proposal the timeline, the sequence of timeline, that how you are going to initiate your research, what actions will you take in between your starting to the end point, how many papers you are going to target, how many conferences that you are going to publish or attend, what kind of workshops and lectures and tutorials that you want to attend in order to gain some skills, some technical skills, some communication skills or soft skills. These are also good because this gives a very good idea to your supervisor, to your to the university, that this candidate has a very extensive idea about the way he or she wants to carry the research. So if you include the number of conferences, tutorials, lectures, workshops, visits, industrial visits, then it's very, very good, and you can then you can give them a rough idea about the timeline. And I will recommend you to use that Gantt diagram of Microsoft project, that will give a very nice picture to the reviewer. And then you have to, or you need to include the references or bibliography. So since you explain the research in the introduction part, in the state of the art, and you're going to work on the methodologies, so you can also list out that some of the scientists or the researchers, they have worked on the problem, but they have approached the problem in this methodology, and they have not approached the problem in that methodology that you want to work upon, and how that methodology is good. So you can list out the references, and remember always that you should list out the references or prepare the bibliography on the basis of the references that you cited. Do not just copy paste those references or bibliography from other papers, because this is a kind of a plagiarism, and plagiarism in research is not ethical, is really disregarded, and you should not consider copy and pasting the references. And then once you complete your research proposal, then you need to edit. You need to go through from the top to bottom of your research proposal, list out any grammatical errors, any kind of syntax errors, or any kind of typesetting errors. Give it to your friends, to your past supervisors to proofread, so that it can be made mistake free. So this will carve a very good research proposal out of you, and this is going to help make the research proposal more valuable and more error free. So in the end, I will list out the highlights of my talk today. So as I mentioned, that a research proposal is never a unique. There is no golden rule. You have to give your personal touch to your research proposal, and nobody can say that this research proposal is going to win you a PhD position or a research grant. You have to include table of contents. You need to write abstract. You need to give your personal information. You need to discuss a state of the art and previous scientific developments, previous research work that has been done already. Then you need to include the research questions and objectives that you want to perform. You have to give and discuss your methodologies in detail, because that is the most important section of your research proposal. Then you need to include your timeline, and then you have to include the references or the bibliography or some kind, even if you can discuss some of your expected results. And keep in mind that this research proposal is not the final proposal. As you progress in your research, the title and the work objective, they keep on modifying, so they keep on evolving. So that's it from today and from us, from the team of Counseling for Higher Education. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe on our YouTube channel, and please like our YouTube video. If you can also like and follow our Facebook page, and then you can also spread the message to your friends and the needy students. So thank you very much. Thank you all. See you in the next week.